Walmart Business is in the business of saving you time, money, and hassle. Whether your business started in a garage or is a garage, Walmart Business has the tools to help you get where you're going. Tools like free shipping, multi-user accounts, and just about any item your company needs.
Even a double filtration cyclone dust collector.
Yep, even that.
Sweet.
Walmart Business. It's the Walmart you love. Now for your business. Learn more at business.walmart.com. Terms apply.
AI is moving fast across the enterprise. But without visibility, it's just chaos. Different tools, different models, different teams using AI in completely different ways. ServiceNow turns that chaos into control. With the AI Control Tower, you see all your AI across the business in one place. What it's doing, what it's done, and what it's about to do. So you stay in control. To put AI to work for people, visit servicenow.com.
TaxAct filing software and live tax experts can help small businesses easily knock out their taxes. Actually, our experts can help you find deductions and credits for any sized business. Itty-bitty businesses, medium-sized, really big, mid-sized, small businesses, companies with 0 employees, and mom-and-pop conglomerates. Yep, our tax experts can help all of them. TaxAct. Let's get them over with.
Not sure how to tackle your taxes? Are you sweating the small print? You may be experiencing FOMO, the fear of messing up. The answer? Using TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They help you get your biggest refund, and then we help you do more with it. With a personalized plan designed to help you hit your money goals. It's time to take your taxes to the max. Start filing today in the Credit Karma app.
Introducing Home Care Plus, a new subscription service from Lowe's that helps make life easier by giving members a hand with home maintenance. Let Lowe's tackle the tasks you keep meaning to do, like electric dryer vent cleaning, replacing hard-to-reach light bulbs, and more. Subscribe to Home Care Plus for just $99 a year and consider your to-do list done. Members get more at Lowe's. Available in select zip codes only. Cancel anytime. Non-refundable fee. Product purchase required. Terms and service restrictions apply. Details at lowes.com/terms. Subject to change.
Hello and welcome to Islanders Anxiety from Lighthouse Hockey and the Fans First Sports Network. My name is Dan Saracini. Joining me on this Sunday evening, moments after the Islanders lost to the Montreal Canadiens that eliminated them from playoff contention, is my friend Michael Leboff. And Mike, I'm not really 100% sure what to say. We got to do a podcast. We're going to say a lot, but I don't know where this is going to go because I have a lot of thoughts and also not a lot of thoughts because it feels like we've been talking about this team's problems and the things that they do over and over and over again forever. And this is now 5 years of very lackluster seasons. And there's a lot of reasons for that, but this one is maybe the most stinging and disappointing of all of them because they had a chance to make a playoff run, go to the playoffs at least. And they sort of choked it away, which is kind of a new thing for them. Like, we've seen a lot of bad seasons, but this is the first time where they've just sort of like thrown away a playoff spot.
That's exactly right. Yeah, I would agree with you. And maybe it's recency bias and that the season just ended. But I would agree with you. And I think that, so many times throughout this year, we've said like, this season, who knows how it's going to go. But one thing we can be sure of is that at least it's not the 21, 22, 22, 23, 23, 24, 24, 25 New York Islanders again, right? Well, in a twist, huge twist, it turns out It was.
Yeah, it
Like,
was.
It was.
There's a couple. Now, there's a couple of things that weren't, but in
Right.
general, yes, it 100%
Same,
was.
you know what it is? It was a different season of the same TV show.
Yep.
Couple
Yeah.
new characters everywhere you look. You know, a couple
Right.
like different people on the Cryon. There's
Right.
Matthew Schaefer smiling at the camera, waving,
Right.
saying, "Oh, I love this place."
Right.
But you know, you had the same old guard, the same kind of out with a whimper ending that they've had. Sometimes it's come in the playoffs, but it's always been with a whimper. In
Right.
this 21 since they moved, the UBS Arena Islanders they are the go out with a whimper, not a bang New York Islanders. And yeah, I mean, I gotta say I didn't see this coming, and I think none of us did. This team was going because, and as you said, and we've said a couple episodes now, like the Islanders have never choked away a playoff spot.
Yeah.
They've been a team that's come up short in a chase. They've been a team that's been out of it. They've been a team that's come close to choking away one and then, you know, got their act together, but they've never choked one away.
Right.
And they did it, and they did it in despicable fashion, cowardly fashion. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different words you could say about it. I think the Islanders are a bad habit. We know that, right? And when you have a bad habit, you know it's a bad habit. That's how you know it's a bad habit, right? You're going to be
Right.
like, "Oh yeah, I have this vice,
Yeah.
and but I can't quit it." And like that's how you know it's a bad habit. And that's what the Islanders are for us, and for a lot of the people who listen here. And they committed a couple cardinal sins this season, and I want to go back to you and I aren't really big into predictions. You know, we kind of like to have fun with like the hot takes and
Right.
the what is the episode we do every year called?
The oddly specific predictions.
Yeah, and we talk about like and then we do another one about the whole year, the whole league or whatever. And
Yeah.
but the one prediction I'd made, and I don't know if you remember this, but I said something which was my biggest worry for the season. And my biggest worry for this season was something almost intangible and weirdly kind of specific. I think a lot of people were like, I don't understand what you mean by it. And then now they've started to see what I meant by it, which was that the Islanders were going to care more about being
Yes.
goofy, well-liked, you know, class clown team
Right.
than they were about winning. And I
Yeah.
think that chicken has come home to roost because
Yeah.
boy, they were all in on the
Yeah.
wow, did you hear what they said about us on this podcast? They said we're really fun. And
Did you miss the article on the pickup game at Anders Lee's house that ran this week for an event that happened 2 months ago? And it was like, wait, why are we talking about this again? It was about the jerseys that they wore, and it's like it's a nice article. There's nothing wrong with it, but like, why are we talking about this now? Like, that's exactly what you're talking about. And also, I got to say too, and before we get in, we're going to get into these games at some point, but like when they were down 3-0 going into the second period, the last thing I want to hear is Shannon Hogan telling me about Belmont Village is open and you know, has all this great shopping. I don't want to hear this. And I know she's doing her job, and I love Shannon, and we all love Shannon, but like, that's exactly what you're talking about. Like, there was stuff that was prioritized other than let's get this team into the playoffs and do something here,
Right.
you know?
Exactly. And it was from that, and it was that from the it felt like that from the get-go. And
Right.
it was almost like every chance that they had every opportunity the Islanders had to build some momentum with, usually through winning hockey games. Wow, what a concept. Like that's what ends up building momentum.
Right.
They like the whole organization would like throw its the weight behind it to like make something out of it. And there would be, you know, new slogans and get in on the action now. Get a Hello Kitty ticket plan or a Goat USA ticket plan or whatever it was. And I understand, like, this is a professional sports team. They're trying to make money. They get you in the door, and then they try to take more money from you when you're in the door. Like, I understand that. But at the same time, it felt like it was more important to the team than, or not the team, like the actual players, but like the organization, the people at the very top than the product on the ice. And I think that came to fruition. I think it's inexcusable. Like it's this season, because the Islanders fell in love with the no pressure, new era, house money kind of thing. It felt like they thought, Oh, that's how everyone feels. And if we miss the playoffs, no one's going to be mad at us because we're cool and kitschy now, and we were just on, the Jimmy Kimmel show or something, like it's
Right.
that I can guarantee you that Matthew Schaefer, and I don't mean to throw any of this on him or any shade at him at all, but like I can guarantee you that this he's going to get called by Sportsnet or by TSN during the playoffs to be like, hey, do you want to be like on a panel or do a hit during the Stars Wild series or something like that. Like I'm telling you that they're going to do it, and I'm going to be really not mad at him, but I'm just going to be mad, be like, wow, I have to go. They're going to talk about how great this guy was, and he's not in the playoffs, and it's not his fault. It's everyone else's fault around him, and everyone else isn't just the players, and it isn't just the coaches. It's the people making the decisions at on the island. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot to get into, but I just want to quickly just run through a list and get it off my chest right now.
Yeah.
Because I think this is the 6th time in 369 episodes that I've shown up with notes, actual written down. And the name of this list is Wasted. Historic season for Matthew Schaefer. A Vezina level season from Ilya Sorokin. 10-0 in 3-on-3 overtime. Sweeping the Devils and the Rangers. Terrible seasons from the Rangers and the Maple Leafs. A 7-game road trip that was supposed to be the hardest part of the season, in which they ran through. 82 games, we assume, from Adam Pelech. A resurgent season from Ryan Pulock until he got hurt and looked terrible lately, but for the most part, a resurgent season from him. Tony DeAngelo was pretty decent. Casey Cizikas looked better. The penalty kill was better. Simon Holmstrom, very good player, very good season. 20-something goals from Emil Heineman.
Yeah.
David Riddick with a magical run while Ilya Sorokin was hurt, which felt like it could have been the cost us the season around Christmas. Kyle Palmieri tore his ACL and then assisted on a goal. And they had 10 of the last 12 games at home in a season in which they were in a dead heat for a playoff spot. 10 of the last 12 at home. All of that and a lot more that I'm sure I didn't have down on this list is wasted by this team.
Yeah. No, you took the words right out of my mouth. Like, what I was thinking of, oh, by the way, real quick, sign up at patreon.com/Islanders Anxiety, blah, blah, blah. You know the whole deal. What I was thinking of when I was watching this end of the season unfold is a couple of years ago, must have been the season that they fired Lane Lambert. But earlier that season, it was probably, I think it was November or so. We called that season a waste of time because it felt like a waste of time. It was the same guys playing the same games, doing the same things over and over again. Didn't feel like they were going anywhere. Didn't feel like they wanted to go anywhere. They just did what they did and then moved on. And then they would lose, and then they would lose again, and then maybe they would win, and then they would lose. And it just continued on, and it was like a zombie team that I didn't enjoy watching. You didn't enjoy watching. They eventually brought in Patrick Waugh. It was like, what? Who? How is this possible? And then, they made the playoffs that year. Bo Horvat kind of completely went off. They got absolutely obliterated that year by Carolina. And then the next year was last season where, it kind of devolved into that again. It was the same guys doing the same thing, only now they were giving up way more high danger scoring chances than they did the year before. And that brought us to this year where Waugh obviously got fired, literally a week ago from today. And I wouldn't call this season a waste of time because specifically of Matthew Schaefer, who changes everything. Watching him play, and listen, let's be honest, we're going to talk about the Carolina game on Tuesday, probably in the second half, but let's be honest, the only thing left to play for is one thing. We need this man to get one more goal this season so that he can break Brian Leach's rookie goal scoring record for defensemen. That's it. That's all we want to see. Get the man his 23rd or 24th goal or 25th goal, whatever it is, and be done with it. And that way, at least we can be like, okay, he broke the record. Everything else sucked, but he had a record-breaking season. He already has obviously broken 100 records at this point. He, and to a slightly lesser extent, Ilya Sorokin, who I want to talk about later too, keep this from being a waste of time. But to me, this season, like you just said, was thrown away. They threw it away. They just threw it away with this sort of bullshit, toxic positivity attitude of like, we'll get to it tomorrow. We'll get to it, well, you can't change the past. We just got to be ready for the next game. We just got to get ready for the next game. Then when they lose the next game, they're like, well, we didn't have it tonight. We just got to get ready for the next game. And then it becomes the old bit from Spaceballs. When will then be now? Soon. Like that's what it is. When, what happened to then? We missed it. When? Just now. Like that. When is it now? When is it going to be now? When is it going to be today that they win a game that they need to win at home late in the season? Like, it's so funny you bring that up because I was thinking about that today too. Obviously, after yesterday's loss to the Ottawa, or Saturday's loss, I should say, to the Ottawa Senators, that like everybody made a big deal about, they got all these games at home. They got all these games at home, and I remember thinking to myself, so like who cares? Like, at what point has UBS Arena been a boon or an advantage for the Islanders? It's great for visiting fans. Like, I love the fans come in from other teams and they're like, oh man, this place is great. It's beautiful here. This is really nice, and it is. It's a beautiful arena with a ton of food and big lighting and feels like an Islanders home. It's great. Doesn't help the Islanders. Hasn't helped them at all. In fact, their record this year was okay, but I wasn't like, this is awesome. They're gonna roll through these teams. Like, it just, to me, this whole thing was just thrown away.
Yep.
If there's one, we're going to talk for weeks and weeks and weeks about what we think the Islanders should do and who they should bring in. But the number one thing I wish they would bring in a little bit, not a lot, a little bit, is a tiny bit of urgency. Just a little bit of like, we've got to do this now. I don't want to call it panic, but it's got to be, we got to do this now. We can't wait until tomorrow. We can't wait until next week. But, when Anders Lee said it himself, the belief never goes away. We always think we can win. Well, Cap, I hate to be the one to break it to you, but it's over. You're done. There is no tomorrow. I mean, there's Tuesday, but it doesn't mean anything. It just feels like they just threw it away. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, you're right. And it's a little bit of urgency is right. And I think part of this problem is that the Islanders think that they can operate like, there's like 28 of the other teams in the NHL,
right?
Or and you can't, because you're the Islanders. You're, no matter
Right.
what, you're second fiddle in the market, and you're second fiddle in the market in a sport that is fourth fiddle in the market.
Right.
So that means you're really like ninth fiddle in the market. So you can't run the New York Islanders like the Nashville Predators and be like, yeah, no, we're going to just, be patient and build slow and simmer this thing, because then 8,000 people show up to Nassau Coliseum to watch you lose to Vinny Lecavalier and the Tampa Bay Lightning. And there are politicians being like, well, what's the point of even keeping this team here if only this many people are here, right? And I know that that's not a threat anymore, but that is what this team is, right? You just got to be, you have to have some sort of, you need to be realistic about what the Islanders are in the professional sports landscape, which means you need to run them like the New York Islanders. You need to push them like the New York Islanders. You can't push them like the Vancouver Canucks. We're just a media machine, the only team in town. They're just the same gimmicks, the same marketing plan, the same focus grouping. It's not going to work because you brought them over from the Los Angeles Kings or wherever to the New York Islanders. They're the Islanders. And as you said, that means you need to have urgency when you have seasons like this. That's 2 in a row now that they've missed the playoffs. 2.
Yeah.
There's all this talk about the Detroit Red Wings. They've missed the playoffs the 10th year in a row. The Sabres just went through 14. 2 turns into 3, and then 3 turns into 4, and all of a sudden you're like, you've just spoiled someone's entire high school years.
Yep.
Have just been watching the Islanders miss the playoffs, right? And they're right when you look at them right now and kind of project into next year, what reason do you have to believe they'll be better? And there is none. And the Schaefer magic is the novelty will wear off. There's gonna. You want to know where there's going to be like a boon of like new Islander fans are going to be in other markets where people are like, oh, I just grew up. I was like at 8 years old when Matthew Schaefer was a rookie and I was a defenseman and I loved him. Just like there were, Pittsburgh Penguins fans coming up with Crosby, right? Here, it's not going to be like that. Like, yeah, there's going to be a new crop of fans because there's always going to be a new crop of fans, but they're going to see this team lose and lose and lose and be like, I'm 13 years old. I have the option to go to UBS Arena, pay all this money and hoof it across a major turnpike to go to this game, or I can just hang out with my friends. And we got to be a younger fan base. Like, yeah. A way to do that is by winning games, because when you go to a game and you win and you're 11 years old, unless you're a complete loser like I am, you're like, oh man, Like, that's what's going to make me want to come back. So urgency is a key word here.
Yeah.
And it felt like the team from the beginning basically said, don't use the U word around this. The last thing we're going to be dealing with here is urgency, because this is a transition year. This is a new era. This is a year where we're just going to see what we got. Like, bullshit. That's not how it works. You just threw away 80 games. Look, I was fucking watching the Winnipeg Jets play I was watching them play the St. Louis Blues on Thursday night, because in my head, I have now out-of-town scoreboard watched myself into out-of-town scoreboard watching games to make sure that the team that we need to win the next game against the Flyers has something to play for. I'm like, oh man, and I wasn't alone. I got like 4 texts being like, you watching the Jets game? I'm like, yeah, I am, because they need to beat the Blues so that the game against the Flyers matters on Saturday night.
Right.
And like,
we need them to be fresh. I don't want Connor Hellebuck to wear himself out, against the Blues.
So you want to talk about a sense of urgency? I'm doing that, and like then I'm watching this team go just sleepwalk through. They gave up. They had their 3 most important games of the season. I think you could say the Penguins game a couple weeks ago, the Flyers game that same week, and the Senators game. They gave up a shorthanded goal in each one of those games. And I'm
you
watching.
Took the words right out of my mouth. Yeah.
I'm watching the Jets play the Blues. Like it is they are a bad habit. So because it's not just, that's not like this sense of urgency and understanding what you have with this fan base is, we're not just hey, we'll show up, we'll watch a game, we'll turn a game on casually. Hey, we want to go to a bar and watch the Islanders. That's not what this fan base is. This is the type of fan base that's going to dig its teeth in, and they're going to watch the Blues and the Jets at 9:00 on a Thursday night when they should be going to bed. Like, and you're going to lose that. You're going to lose that by doing these kind of things and making people feel like it just doesn't matter. Well, didn't you enjoy the cool stuff with the bird and like,
right?
Like, no, no, none of that matters now. None of it matters.
Right. No, Isles Lab doesn't matter. The Islanders Hello Kitty collaboration doesn't matter. The Belmont Village doesn't matter. Guess what? Nobody's going to Belmont Village now. Nobody's going because nobody's going to be at the arena for the next 4 months. Like, it ain't happening. Nobody's going to be there. You took the words right out of my mouth about the shorthanded goals. Although in my case, I forgot that the Flyers had one too.
Oh yeah.
I was thinking of the other Senators game that they lost, where they gave up the shorthanded goal, and it kind of changed everything as well. So
So you got the 4 most important games of the year. They gave up a shorthanded goal in each.
Yeah. So I was obviously angry after the second period, like a lot of you were. I took a couple of shots at John Ledecky, saying that I hope he enjoys being surrounded by fans of another team cheering in his building while his team dies a loser's death. I put that out on Blue Sky. And I had a response from a user named Benny, and he was very, very level-headed and rational. And he said, listen, these guys have spent a lot of money to make this team a destination. People sign here. They give up their no move clauses to come here. They built a brand new, beautiful arena, all this kind of stuff. So, I don't know if it's really on them. And he's 100% right. And that was probably irrational of me to say. But what I told him was, this is now, and you just said it, this is 5 years of not a whole lot. They made the playoffs twice. They had, the 6-game loss to Carolina, was a little bit closer than that would indicate. But honestly, were they really going to win that series? Probably not. The 5-game loss, they just got wiped out. Like, they just had no chance. Again, if it wasn't for Robert Bortuzzo in game 3 or game 4, whatever it was, they would not have won a game in that series. That's not a lot to show for what what we've put into it as fans and how the money that people have spent to come and watch these games. And it's just like, at some point there has to be some sort of results here. Like, there has to be some sort of payoff. And that's exactly what you're talking about. Like, how do you get people to care about this ancillary stuff that you obviously care a lot about and you put a lot of thought into, and focus group and market research and all that kind of stuff? You win games. Like, you know what really pisses me off, and like I get madder and madder the more I think about it. Next January, this team hosts an all-star game. Like, what? What team is going to be hosting the All-Star game next January? What kind of Islanders team are we going to be looking at? Are they going to be on the bubble again? Are they going to be 10 points out of the playoffs? Like, who knows? Who knows what they're going to be? Because this is the life we have led now, not just for these 5 years, but the 5 years before. I saw another post today on Blue Sky by our friend Adam Gretz, who covers the Penguins, and he wrote something very innocuous and very true that really hit home for me. He said, the Penguins season has been so good. And listen, you guys know us by now. If we can make fun of the Penguins, we will, right? We hate those guys. The fact that the Leafs and Rangers missed the playoffs this year with miserable, terrible seasons is a small consolation. But the Penguins have had a great year. You got to hand it to them. They did great. The old guys stepped up. The new guys stepped up. Kyle Dubas made a bunch of good moves. They got a great coach. He's probably going to win the Jack Adams this year. They had a great season. Take nothing away from the Penguins whatsoever. This time, you know what? You guys, we'll give you a break, right? Until you get wiped out in 4 games in the playoffs. But that's another story. But he said, the Penguin season has been so good that they bought themselves a week of meaningless games because they didn't have to worry about them, because they didn't have to worry about making the playoffs. I mean, they weren't going to win the division. That's fine. But, could you imagine that?
No.
When was the last time the Islanders had that for them?
Yep.
2019, right?
They had one. They've had one in the UBS Arena era, and it was when Ruslan Ishbakov made his one NHL game. It was one. They clinched in game 8. I was going to say this. They
one
played
game.
One game like that.
But that 2019, they had a couple of games. I think it was 3 or 4 games, right? Because they had clinched enough because they had 100 points. Before that, it was 2002. The first year under Peter Laviolette with Pekka and Yashin and that whole gang.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
And then so that made me think, geez, the Islanders haven't done that in 7 years. And then before that, it was 17 years before that. And then I started thinking about, the Anaheim Ducks still could potentially win the division or miss the playoffs. They haven't clinched anything yet. But and I know that division has been terrible this year, but I was like, these guys were just hoping to make the playoffs, hoping to, show some advancement or, move things along with the young guys. They might win their division by accident. They might just win their division because the Oilers and Golden Knights might miss a game or here too. My favorite stat is that the Islanders have not won their division since 1988. 1988. Why is that significant? I was 12 years old. You were not born. You were negative 2 years old.
Yeah.
That was the first year the Devils made the playoffs, and they beat the Islanders in the playoffs that year. And that was the last year of Dennis Potvin's great career. So this team has literally never won a division without Dennis Potvin on the roster, or Brian Trottier for that matter, who was also on that roster. That's absurd. And this is what I'm saying. Not all of that is on John Ledecky and Scott Malkin and Matthew Darsh. And obviously, we're going to talk about all those guys enough time. But at some point, there needs to be a payoff. There needs to be something here. And I know they had 2 great runs and 3 really great seasons in a row, but that's in the rearview mirror now. This is a new group. You got to get these people involved. You got to get them into this. You can't just be throwing seasons away here. Like you just said, there's too much else for them to do. You got to give people a reason to care, and seasons like this just aren't it. I don't even know what the answer is, to be honest with you, but I feel like it's going to take a lot of surgery that these guys just don't want to do. Because it's let's get into the games, because we were talking about this before. There's too many guys doing the same things they've always been doing. And honestly, we were going to sit here and talk about the sort of first week under Peter DeBoer, but in these 2 last games, the 3-0 loss to Ottawa and the 4-1 loss to Montreal from today, I mean, you or I could have been behind the bench and it wouldn't have mattered, because they did the same things they've been doing forever. And before people are like, well, then they shouldn't have fired Watt. No, Patrick Watt was still a bad coach. Trust me. But these guys need to start thinking of new ways to score goals or defend goals, because it's driving us crazy. It's the same team over and over again.
It is. And I think it's part of this issue. I feel like it's not that it's not being lied to, but it feels like the Islanders this season as an entity, as an organization, kind of carried themselves as like a politician, right? They're just going to say stuff and be like, this is what we're going to do. And then just because they said it means that, it's basically do as I say, not what I do. In the beginning of this season, when Matthew Darsh was hired, the day he was hired, he was like, we need to play fast and we need to find ways to score goals, and I think the quote was like, you know, defending is really important to winning, but it's in this NHL, like, you got to be able to play with intensity and speed and all that. And I'm paraphrasing the quote, but it's there. It was from when he was hired right away. Like, we're going to be a fast, speedy team. And as you said, like the Islanders, the 2021 to 2026 New York Islanders would never be confused with a speedy team. They've got a couple guys who can fly, Barzal, Schaefer now. They've got a couple of those guys, but essentially when you get past the kind of headliners, right, you start to just become the same guy over and over and over and over again. And what was bizarre about the way that this team was run, and it really showed itself in that Senators game, I thought for sure. Tonight, we can talk about this game a little bit later, but and in a lot of the games down the stretch, the Islanders just never were able to mount that push that that they always talk about. That we knew they were going to have a push, and we just couldn't find a way to battle back or whatever. Like the Islanders could never find that push until like the very end of a game when they were already down 2 or 3 goals with like 4 minutes left, because they don't have that speed, that pizzazz, that intensity that Darsh was saying they were going to play with, because instead of trying to find it, they got Andre Palat, who is essentially Casey Zizekas, except a little worse, and plays on the wing, and Braden Shen.
Incredibly insulting to Casey Zizekas.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. He's, you know what? Andre Palat is worse than Kyle McLean. That's what he was, and he's worse than Kyle. And God love Kyle McLean because he works his bag off every night, but Andre Palat is a $6 million version of Kyle McLean. And then they got Braden Shen, who, whatever, good NHL player, sure.
Here's my thing with Shen, because you brought him up. I'll just throw in the thing. Shen is produced, and he's been good, and he fits right in. He seems like a nice guy, but he's not a needle mover.
Yeah.
That's my thing
the
with
problem.
Shen.
He fits
he's
right
not
in.
a needle mover.
Right,
Yeah.
Right. We didn't need another guy that fit right in. We needed someone else. We needed somebody, I know everyone, like I get some ribbing about my love for Pierre Engvall. Say what you want about Pierre Engvall. He brings something different to the goddamn team than a lot of the other guys that have been on this team. He's speedy, and he's empty calorie with that speed. I get that, but like at least he's like a little bit of a different type of player. Braden Shen was like, we're just going to double down on like the Andersley, Bo Horvat, JG Pajot type that we have. When most teams are looking for that player because they don't have it.
Right.
The Islanders already had like 8 of them.
I would throw in Casey Zizekas in that same group.
Yeah, exactly.
Like they're all basically, and honestly, even though he's got different skill set, but Matt Barzal is also kind of in that same group. Like they're good players, very, very good players. Some of the best players we've ever seen on this team. They just don't move the needle far enough. In Shen's case, he doesn't move the needle really much at all, but he's a good player, but he's just not moving the needle. And obviously Susie is in the same camp as Palat. I will counter though and say that I was looking up Kyle McLean earlier today, and I saw this, and obviously this game didn't change anything because they brought against Montreal, Palat sat and Anthony Duclair came back in. Anthony Duclair in 61 games this year has 27 points. Okay, 27 points. He's got what is it? I had it up here. He's got 12 goals and 15 assists. Okay. Kyle McLean in 171 games as an Islander has 27 points.
Oh my God.
And you might say, well, he's a fourth liner. His whole thing isn't points. Okay, that's fine. He's also like a minus 16.
Yeah.
He hits a little bit, but not as much as some other guys. And honestly, even if he hit, there are other guys that can also lay hits. He doesn't need to, just hitting isn't going to do anybody any good. He doesn't fight. He doesn't kill penalties. He doesn't play on a power play. 171 games of this. And I feel like he, in a way, is sort of the avatar of this era of Islanders hockey. He has played 171 games for this team and has accomplished almost nothing. It's just crazy. Obviously, Matthew Schaefer and Ilya Sorokin kind of removed from that situation.
Yeah, it's very true. And he's like it's a great example of like, hey, other teams do it all the time. They just are like, you know what? We're just going to waive this guy and bring up somebody from our minor league team. The Islanders just didn't do that all year. No. And like the only forwards they brought up all season, I think we talked about it last episode, were Mark Gatcomb and Cal Ritchie. Those are the only 2 forwards that the Islanders called up for. Adam Beckman has like 40 goals. I don't know. It's like 28,
Yeah.
but that in Bridgeport numbers, that's 40.
Yeah.
And
I would also remove Ritchie from this situation as well because he's played.
yeah,
very
oh
well.
yeah, sure, yeah, we can definitely put him to the
Right.
side. I think most people know that the kind of culprits that the
Right.
people who are given the hall pass here, but but my point overall here is to like get back to what you're saying is like the Islanders sold us this. They told us this. They grandstanded about it. They like even the new fonts on like the graphics and like the new game ops like videos that you'd see, or like they're just like beating home that this is the new fun fast Islanders. Here that everyone was saying it. The Matthew Darsh was on the sheet with Jeff Marek talking about it, like this is what this team was trying to sell us. And then you turn on the game and be like, okay, but where are those guys? Like, I'm watching. I'm not watching.
Yeah.
We love Anders Lee. He's
Right.
one of my favorite Islanders ever. But I'm watching Anders Lee on this. I'm not watching the fun, fast, like new era Islanders. I'm watching Anders Lee like jam a puck into a goalie's pads because that is our best path to success right now. To score a goal is him not finding these new fun, fast guys. Like it's and you know what? Maybe they come, maybe they do, but maybe they don't. The Detroit Red Wings thought that they were going to be good 5 years ago. They've now missed the playoffs 10 years in a row. The New Jersey Devils are the new wagon. Watch out, the Devils train is coming. The Devils are a mess now. Like it doesn't just because you get one of these players like Matthew Schaefer and you get like a little bit of lottery luck and all of a sudden the farm system looks good does not guarantee bubkiss. It doesn't mean anything. Like and I think that's what it's almost insulting that the organization this entire time was like, well, what would you rather? Like be good and not be cool? Like, yeah, that's what I would rather. I would much rather. There was a time when everyone fucking hated our guts. They were like, I can't watch the Islanders. And we would just show up and we would just strangle the hell out of them for 60 minutes. And then Brock Nelson would score and the Islanders would skate off the ice with 2 points and we'd go to bed and we'd wake up and be like, God, I love these guys.
Yeah.
Not being like, God, I want Ryan Pulock off this team. I love Ryan Pulock. He's part of an amazing moment, but I've just watched him get bodied by Nick Suzuki in front of the net. And that's like the eighth person that's stolen his lunch this week. Like I what happened to these guys? And
I don't know.
So
by the way, that whole thing was a perfect advertisement for last week's Master Leaf Theater. If in case you missed it, go back and check it out because there's another team that thought they had it all made and all they could do is sit back and watch the cups roll in, and didn't work out that way for those guys.
They were on a magazine. They were on the front cover of a magazine, right?
Cups plural. Not one cup, it was multiple cups. Yeah.
Would you put that past like this current Islanders
No.
be like, hey, we got to be on the hockey news with Schaefer, Ritchie, and Eklund. Be like, the cups are coming back to another 4 cups.
Right. Matthew Schaefer is going to be on every printed surface on Long Island for the next 4 months, like for the entire summer. He's going to be the guy. He's going to be on every commercial. He's going to be on every print ad. He's going to be he's already signed up for Noble. He's going to be doing stuff, like you said, for the NHL. And they're going to make it sound like they had a great season, but really he had a great season and the rest of them had the same season they've had for 5 years for the most part. and I want to, so you touched on a lot of stuff there. I want to touch on Matthew Darsh real quick. We had it out for him last week. We kind of had it out for everybody. Obviously we don't need to talk about DeBoer. We don't need to talk about Wah anymore. Here's the thing that I thought about Darsh last week. And like, his trade deadline has come under fire for sure. I want to talk about Matt Barzal, by the way, when you talk about like the guys we love. I don't want to forget him. I want to get to him soon. But like, the thing about Darsh is that I feel like his trade deadline strategy, which obviously now has fallen apart, was trying to keep everybody happy. Like he said at the time, the goal was to keep all of their prospects and let them, marinate and develop in Bridgeport. By the way, if you're looking for some silver linings for tonight, Bridgeport Islanders have clinched a playoff berth in their final season in Bridgeport. So hopefully they can make something happen. Yzerman, Eklund, they're doing well out there. Keep it going. You know what? Screw it. Send Ritchie and Schaefer down there and let them work with Bridgeport Islanders, get them a Calder Cup, or at least have a nice run. We'll see what happens. But so, that part I can agree with. That's fine. I think we could all agree, it's fine to have those guys. But at the same time, he also wanted to reward the current team for where they were, which was in a playoff spot at that point, and also show fans that, we're trying to win a Stanley Cup right now. And he said that's where Shen came in. Like, we're trying to, we thought he was going to help us win the Stanley Cup. And we said at the time, or I said, we had our episode with Jenny Berman back then. We'll see. That's the plan. Don't say he has no plan, because he had a plan. The plan was keep all the prospects and also, try and win a cup this year with this group, with the addition of Shen. We'll see how that plan works out. Obviously, that part of the plan did not work out because they're not going to be in the playoffs because they are now eliminated. And by trying to please everyone, what happened was he really pleased no one, because, a lot of people would have probably rather traded those prospects. Maybe trade an Yzerman for somebody big, or trade, make a bigger trade and get some, like a needle mover, like we were just talking about. Or just don't acquire Shen and just keep that other first round pick. And then maybe you can trade that at the draft for something bigger and move on from a lot of these guys, that they need to move on from at some point. So, like, really, he was trying to serve two separate masters and ended up just making people mad. And so, again, through, Shen has played well. I think we could all agree he's produced. His underlying numbers are pretty lousy, but, he's come in and what has he got? Like 12 points in 13 games or something along those lines, whatever it is, doesn't matter. Like, he fits right in, but he's not a needle mover. Like, he's not a guy who puts you over the edge. He's a guy who fits in, and they have guys that fit in. And Kyle Palmieri was another guy who just fit in. Like, he's a good player. We like Palmieri. There's nothing wrong with him. He just didn't move I guess playoff Palmieri is a different story. So maybe in that case, he is a bit of a needle mover. But like regular season, Kyle Palmieri has had one good year in 6 with the Islanders. Most of the time, he does his damage in the playoffs. But he got hurt this year through no fault of his own, and it just sucks. And it just that was my thing, was like, it just occurred to me that Darsh was trying to please everybody, and in the process has now pissed off most of the fan base. There's people that don't have any faith in him anymore after one season. That seems a little rash to me, but then again, I'm the guy who was out on the coach longer than almost anybody, so maybe I shouldn't say anything. But that's the other thing that I just, I'm okay that he kept the prospects, but I wish he had gone further and just said, we're going to roll with the guys that we got and see how it goes. And then, if the guys in the room felt bad that they weren't rewarded for a job well done, I would have said, like, well, frankly, you guys give up the most high danger chances in the league. Maybe you should start playing defense first, and then we'll try and get somebody next time. But that's what I would have done. I mean, again, hindsight being 2020, but I don't know. That was my thing, and it sucks. Again, I feel bad. I feel bad for him in the sense that there's a lot of people now that are already off the train, even though they probably weren't on the train, and it makes me anxious that he's going to do something stupid later on, or the owners are going to do something stupid. I mean, they are paying Patrick Waugh now, in fairness, to not coach them. So I don't know. I want to feel better about, his work, and maybe in season 2, it'll be better, but I don't know. To me, trying to make everybody happy just made everybody mad. It seems
you made a really good point last week in where you said, like, you've never seen a general manager have a shorter grace period than he did.
Yeah.
And I thought about that a lot this week, because I was like, Dan's right. Like, the tide turned real quick. Like, it seemed like people were very excited about the new.
Yeah, they were excited about not having Lou.
right. And they were excited that, like, and we talked about how, like, the search was, very leaky and a mess, and that was part of it. But then I realized that I don't know if there was a general manager in hockey that had an easier job than he did this season, because he was just, the situation he was walking into. Yeah, like, there's some albatross on the roster, but it's not on him. He didn't like sign the Scott Mayfield contract, or the Ryan Pulock contract, or the Pierre Engvall contract, or even like the Anthony Duclair contract, right? That wasn't his fault.
Nope.
And he was walking into a team where he's got Matthew Schaefer. The Islanders win the draft lottery, and all of a sudden this guy's a wonderkind. And he also doesn't have a coach that he has, like, a free bullet to use on a coach, because that wasn't his coach, and all that, right? But what he did was he completely took what was a pretty cushy gig and made it hard on himself. And that's part of what the issue is here, is like, I don't know what the thinking was behind a lot of the in-season decisions or indecisions with this team, and by the time they started to make the decisions, like the Carson Soucy one was the first, and it was a welcome one. We're like, finally, like they're going to stop this revolving door and all that. But
Right.
when it came time to make decisions, none of them are panning out, and that's what scares me here, right? Like you can go back to the summer, you can give them a pass for we have no idea what the Dobson trade's going to turn into. We'll see. So that's like we'll kick it down the road. The David Riddick signing, he signed a backup goalie who wasn't terrible, which is great. But then he had to attach a he had to take Braden Shen to get rid of Jonathan Drouin, his only like splashy free agent signing, right? Like the only one that can kind of be considered one. So like the decision to sign Drouin was, hindsight being what it is, wasn't a good one. And then the Soucy trade, great, whatever. The process might be fine, but the decision not looking good. The Andre Palat trade is going to follow that guy around. Yep. And the Braden Shen trade, probably not a good decision either. So like, at least right now it looks like, right? Because now he's put himself in a spot where by bringing on Palat and Palat and Shen, the Islanders are going to need to make some pretty painful decisions, and maybe it's good in the long run that they do. And one of the guys that's been around forever that we've liked hits the road, but it might not be the one that we all want to go, because they've got $12.5 million tied into Andre Palat and Braden Shen next year, and they also have some dead weight coming from the Lou Eras, right? Like I have it written down here. It's like Palat, Shen, Duclair, Engvall, and Mayfield. Yeah, Mayfield. So those 5 guys are going to account for $22.5 million, I believe, if my math is right, on the cap next year, and the cap's going up. Great,
right?
That's a fifth of the cap on guys who you're probably like, we don't want these guys on the Islanders, right? Which means that you're going to have to get rid of somebody or not re-sign somebody that you do want on the Islanders. So let's just say Anders Lee doesn't come back. Once again, maybe it's the right decision in terms of winning games, but the reason there's a big part of the reason why he might not come back, or they might do something like trade Matt Barzal, is because, well, they have to do it because Andre Palat's $6 million are on the books, along with a Braden Shen. And so that's why I think that the Darsh thing is worrying me. Is like that when it comes time to make the decisions, they haven't been good, which is your job. And you can do the media tour all you want, and you could sound smart, and you could, he's a smart dude. He's got the Lightning pedigree and all that. But when you start making bad decisions and they lead to painful decisions, this fan base is going to turn on you. And this fan base is the one that is watching the Jets play the Blues after your game, because so it's going to be like, the Fangs will be out. This is a very tribalistic, diehard fan base.
Yeah. Right. I just got to say, by the way, speaking of I want to get to Barzal, but speaking of the diehard tribal fan base. So, according to one of our patrons in our Patreon chat, she was listening to Mike Johnson call the game with the Senators on Saturday. And the Islanders, of course, went 0-for-5 in that game on the power play, which pretty much sealed the deal for them. I know we haven't really gotten into the games, but at this point, who cares? And Johnson was said something to the effect of, don't these fans know? Fans are booing because the Islanders can't get into the Senators zone. They're 0-for-5 on the power play. And Johnson was like, don't these fans know how good the Senators are defensively? Like, why are they booing? Why are they taking it out on the Islanders? And I didn't watch it. Obviously, I watched it, with our own crew. If he said something like that, that's just the dumbest fucking thing I've ever. I mean, Mike Johnson's generally a smart guy, but that's just stupid. And maybe I am being a tribalistic, insane Islanders fan, but I don't think it's too much to ask that my team score a power play goal 1 out of 5 times, right?
And not give one up.
Give one up. Or maybe forecheck, set something up in the other team's zone, maybe get some quality shots on net. They kind of did that. High danger chances actually were 11-2 in favor of the Islanders in that game. That's what's funny about that game. I was really more mad about that game than I was about the Montreal game on Sunday, because that game, honestly, and listen, we're not including, you said you talked about the culprits or whatever before. Peter DeBoer obviously is not included in this as well. He's been here for a week. To me, that game was one of their better defensive efforts all season long. They only gave up 2 high danger chances the entire game. There wasn't a whole lot 5-on-5. The difference was a shorthanded goal against and a 5-on-3 goal and then an empty net goal. Like, if they had more games like that during the course of the year, they might be in a playoff spot right now. Like, they just didn't give the Senators really much of anything. And that was in a game, but they also didn't score in the power play, barely set up in their own zone, and just, again, threw the game away. Like, they had chances in the third period, but like nothing really came of it. Yeah. And so
we apologize to MJ for not doing the old boo then clap that the media always is asking for.
That was my exact response. That's like saying you should boo a guy and then clap during his tribute video. Like, get out of here. But anyway, but we are, like you said, we just want our team to be good. Like, we just want them to be good. And that's why I know people are probably tired of us talking about the Trotz era, but like, and I said this at the time too, like, New Yorkers have this reputation of like wanting all the superstars and wanting the guys that come in, the big names. Like, we all want to, the Reggie Jacksons and, everybody. I'm sure there's still people that think LeBron is going to sign with the Knicks this summer because they always say that every year. And that's all fine. But like, I think really what New Yorkers really like to see is a defense that just doesn't give up anything and chokes the life out of other teams. Almost every other team in this market has had that kind of team. The Knicks in the 90s, the Sack Exchange Jets in the 90s, the Giants in the late 80s and early 90s. I mean, Lawrence Taylor is still arguably the greatest New York Giant of all time. All due respect to Eli Manning. Like, even the Mets had that infield that just sucked up everything, and they went to a World Series with those guys. Like, we love that kind of shit, and people ate that shit up when the Islanders were doing it. They loved that stuff. We love that team. We were cheering dump-ins because they were just changing because the other team that hadn't even crossed their own blue line. Like, we love that kind of stuff. And I'm not saying they have to play like that, but that was a winning team. Yeah. And we just got behind them and they won. And it was, were there people that probably hated that style? Yeah, probably, but they still like the winning, right? And these guys just, again, they threw that away. They didn't want to do that anymore. I get it. It's a grind. It's hard. They just don't want to do it anymore. And so now in 5 years, they haven't done anything. Like, they haven't come even almost close to anything approaching that kind of juice, and not even that style. Who cares about the style? But like that kind of winning, that kind of environment, they just haven't done it. And they need to, if they want to build upon this young kid who was given to them by the hockey gods and make it all worth something. I do want to talk about Barzal. You just mentioned it too. Darsh is obviously taking a lot of arrows. Palat and Susie have too. I get it. They're convenient whipping boys. I'm the guy out here who hated Patrick Waugh and Kyle McLean, as I was just mentioning before. I'm seeing a lot of Matt Barzal criticism. A lot of people are tired of this. A lot of people are like, listen, he's great, but you got to do something. Like, you can't, he's had 71 points in 79 games. Like, that's a really good season. But this weekend, man, was not a good look for Barzal. Like, just lots of flying around the zone, coming to nothing. The power play isn't working with him on it. It's, he's 28 now. He's going to be 29 next year. Like, I don't know. I'm not saying trade the guy. I don't want to trade the guy. Shout out to our friend Ian, who made a good point in his newsletter that you're probably going to lose a Matt Barzal trade. Like, who are you going to trade and get back that's better than Barzal and all that kind of stuff? And I get all that. I don't want to trade the guy. He loves playing for the Islanders. He loves being here. He signed that long-term contract. I can't imagine him wanting to play anywhere else. But something's got to give. This guy, they need more from this guy. And I know that sounds crazy considering all he's done for them, but like, I think, to me personally, they have to find him a trigger man, a guy whose only job is to, not only job, but his main job is to get open and be ready for when Barzal hits him with the pass. And then all he does is like wire it home. That's a lot easier said than done. But right now, like today, he had a play where they were in the zone. I don't know if I think they were on the power play, and he had he knifed his way into the zone. He had a great look and he shoveled it over and there was nobody there. Just absolutely nobody there. Like, if somebody was there, that would be a different story. So he's taken a lot of arrows, and I think a lot of the shine has come off Barzal. Again, we love the guy, but there's got to be more than just skating around the zone and, just looking cool and everything. And The turnovers at the blue line have to stop. Something's got to give on the power play. He's a talented guy that just isn't helping the power play. I mean, nobody is really, frankly, but it's not all him for sure. But I don't know. Is that crazy? I mean, I feel like there's a lot of room to criticize a lot of people here, and he should not be exempt from that.
No, he shouldn't. And like he's the guy who makes the most money on the team, and he's their second most talented player now after with Schaefer there, and
Right.
Arguably probably their third or fourth most important after Schaefer, Sorokin, and Horvat are right in there with Horvat. And when a player like that doesn't deliver, just no matter how great he looks and handsome he is, and his hair looks good, it doesn't matter. And we could talk about how much he loves it here, and we love having him here, but he was really bad. He was really poor down the stretch. Like this is the guy who I feel like a fool because we always make fun of people in one specific market, like when a player opens their mouth, or a coach or GM opens their mouth and they talk in player speak or coach speak, that these people like take them for their word, hook, line, and sinker. But when Matt Barzal a few years ago was like, I'm sick of needing to scratch and claw our way into the playoffs every year and get in on the last day, like I want to stop. We bring it up all the time. Well, you're the guy on the team who's supposed to drive the bus, and you didn't do that, because starting with the Blackhawks game when he actively played for the Chicago Blackhawks, getting to here, like he was really bad from the Islanders' most important stretch of the season. They could not rely on him. They couldn't. They could hardly rely on anyone. There were like 6 guys who played well. Like Adam Pelech was really bad. Ryan Pulock, maybe he that injury was worse than we thought, because he's been really poor. And he's just got he was really played really poorly down the stretch. Too, like these guys are the ones who are supposed to know that, hey, this could be Anders Lee's last game. His last couple of games. Don't you want to like go out there and do your best to like make sure that he can, the guy who's been your captain your entire career basically, like can stick around and play maybe play a couple playoff games. And they didn't show up. Like those guys all no showed, and Barzal is one of them. And we've said it. One of the themes about the 2021 to 2026 New York Islanders is that no matter what, losing seasons have consequences. No matter what, the Islanders can't look at this season and be like, oh, we're just going to do it again. Like they might have to, because everybody's under contract for next year, except for like 3 guys, but they're going to say like, no, we need to make changes, and that they're going to say, well, everything's on the table, because that's what they always say and then
they'll bring back the same roster,
right? Yeah, but one of those the guys who's one of the only guys who you can trade and get something back for and make a meaningful shift to this roster is Barzal, and he's a smart dude. Like there's a lot of stories about him we've been told over the years about how him and like Anthony Beauvillier would be on the back of the plane, basically on cap friendly, like talking through potential trades at the trade deadline and all that kind of stuff. Like he knows that he's got a pretty big no trade list. I think it's 22 teams this summer, but still he knows that he's looking around. Well, they just signed JG Pageau. No one's going to take Duclair, or no one's going to take Palat. And, I'm one of the only guys who could be moved, basically. Like, it's possible to move me. Like, he'd look himself in the mirror and know that the reason he could be on his way out is because he didn't deliver down the stretch here. And that's part of the shame here. It's like,
it's right back to what we said off the top. All of this time was wasted.
Right.
Like they just threw all this away. The guy had a great season and it amounted to nothing.
Yeah.
It just got thrown away like the rest of it.
Yeah. When you look back on this season and you think about Matt Barzal, you're not going to think about his like very good stretch in the middle, or his 71 points was probably the second most he's had in his career in a season. You're going to think about him passing the puck to Tyler Bertuzzi or Frank Nazar, or whoever it was on the Blackhawks.
Right.
And be like, well,
a turnover at the blue line. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Sending Owen Tippett down on a 2-on-0, what then nobody back checks on. after they flub it, right? Like that's what you're going to think of, and that's the shame of this season. And you talk about throwing it all away. You just threw away so many moments where you're going to look back and think about all the funny interviews that Matt Schaefer did on the bench, and the comebacks and the 6-on-5 goals and the overtime games, and you're going to look back and then be like, yeah, but then they blew it. Like that wasn't a fun. That season had fun moments, but it wasn't a fun season. They just never. Now they have to lay in that the bed that they've made. That's it, and they've got nobody else to blame but themselves. And boy, you look at their cap friendly or whatever, it's a Puckpedia page now, and you look at it and you're like, man, everybody on this team basically has a contract next year and has trade protection, except there's like 3 guys that don't. Holmstrom, you better not trade him.
No.
Like Cizikas, what's gonna happen? Like Heineman, who knows? But like this is a situation it's not like that's the other thing too here is that not to derail this conversation with Barzal, but the Islanders have and the fan base kind of bought into this being a plucky young team. Like that's what it was sold. Like if you asked other markets about the Islanders, they'd be like, well, this season, like you're like an upstart team with a plucky young group and you're the underdog. No, like everyone on this team is basically over 30 except for number 48.
Right. They're the second oldest team in the league.
Yeah. And they have an 18-year-old.
Right.
There was that's not what we were. Like we were building towards something this season. It was just like this weird kind of outlier season. And we were sold something very differently, I feel like, and now it's aside from Schaefer, Ritchie, there's a couple youngsters who they are still prospects. You have no idea. Who knows? Sorokin goalies are really hard to project year to year. But like, what is making you believe that next year is going to bring a smile back onto your face? I don't know, and that's part. And the players are probably thinking, like, once again, back to Barzal. He's smart. Like he probably knows. Maybe I should move on. Like maybe it's not the worst thing for me. Like do I fit in with what this team's going to try to be next year? Because do I want to go through this again and waste another season, or do I want to go play with Macklin Celebrini or something? Right? Yeah. Like I don't know. It sucks. Losing seasons have consequences. Yeah. We've talked about this time and again. One of those consequences was Barry Trotz losing his job. Right. Being like, I don't want to be here. And
this year was Patrick Waugh. I have no doubt that these guys like Patrick Waugh, and we are going to move on in a second, but Barzal did have a quote this week. There was a report from Frank Saravalli of wherever he is now, silver-haired hockey news, whatever it is, that some of the Islanders players were rankled by Waugh constantly talking about the cups that he won as a player, which aren't really totally applicable to what he's doing as a coach. And I guess Andrew Gross brought it up to Barzal, and Barzal said that couldn't be more untrue. If anything, I and us as a group love hearing those stories about the teams that he was on when he won the cup, especially his team in Montreal. He'd always bring up how they were kind of an underdog all year. That kind of stuff fueled us. That report is completely ridiculous. I got sick of Patrick Waugh telling us stories about when he won cups as a player, but that's just me. But I believe Barzal. I believe him that these guys like Patrick Waugh, but that is a consequence of a season like this. Like you said, the guy they liked playing for doesn't work here anymore. Although he might come back as a scout from what I hear a little bit. So we'll see. But yeah, I mean, again, I'm not saying they should trade him. I'm not saying that they are going to trade him. Our friend Arthur Staple.
It's a possibility now. Like
it is a possibility, right?
It's a possibility now because the season's over, right?
Because of this, right?
Right.
The season being what it was, and like our friend Art Staple mentioned on Hockey Night in New York last week, he thinks that there will be some moves that Matthew Darche will make that'll be pretty drastic because they can't float anymore. We've used wasted. I should say we've been using thrown away or wasted. He has used floating, and it's kind of the same thing. Like they just sort of float around, game to game, and then they lose, they win, whatever, and then at the end of the season they got to try and scramble to make the playoffs. And in this case, it just didn't work. I'll give you another thing they threw away before we take our break. I don't know if you mentioned this before off the top of your list, off the top of your on that list you had. Did you mention that they were 9-0 in overtime?
10-0, yes. Yeah.
10-0. Oh,
Yeah,
it was 10-0? I thought it was 9-0.
10-0. No, it's 10-0.
Yeah.
10-0 in overtime. That's not going to happen again.
Nope.
No. And for all the people who were talking, and whatever, you could be a fan as whatever kind of fan you want, but people were like, oh, this is like a house money season. Next year when they're 4-6 in overtime and they're getting just, good, not great goaltending from Ilya Sorokin or whatever, and the penalty kills 20th, like,
right.
You're going to wish that you had this one back. That's the thing. Like, that's the thing here, right? They're these players too. Like they're all gonna be like, when you see like the Flyers play the Senators in the Eastern Conference Final, you'd be like, wow, we were better than both of those teams.
Yeah. And I'm telling you right now, again, we love the guy to death. He's changed our lives forever. Matthew Schaefer, don't be surprised if he doesn't hit 24 goals and 60 points next year.
Right.
It's just how it kind of works. Like, I'm not saying that he's going to suck all of a sudden. I'm just saying that that's how it works sometimes. I put this out on Blue Sky also. I am more mad that Ilya Sorokin's probably not going to win the Vezina than the Islanders aren't going to make the playoffs. Because, like, they make the playoffs, teams make the playoffs. I believe they will make the playoffs again sometime soon. Ilya Sorokin may never get another chance at a Vezina trophy. Like, he was literally doing things that were superhuman for 3/4 of the season. And then since they came back from the Olympic break, it's just been about throwing the rest of it away. And there goes Ilya's chance at a Vezina trophy. He still might win it. You never know. But if he doesn't, I don't know, man. It's going to be hard to get back here at 30 plus years old or whatever. So, all right, let's take a break. Then on the other side, we'll talk about the Carolina game. You know what we'll do on the other side, just for fun? We'll talk about that Leafs game that they played last week too. We completely ignored it because at this point it is also moot. And then maybe we'll get into some other stuff too. And I don't know. We'll see. This has been a very rant heavy episode, but I'm sure we have a little bit more in us. So meet us on the other side. Thanks.
The new LinkedIn Hiring Pro can't undo your last hire. The empty seat. Who was actually just that, an empty chair in your office because you couldn't find someone to fill it. So it just sat there costing you money with all its fancy ergonomic features. But LinkedIn Hiring Pro can make it easy to fill that seat with the right candidate. With nearly 60% of businesses finding someone to interview in the first week alone. Hire right the first time with LinkedIn Hiring Pro. Post a free job today at linkedin.com/quality.
Start your day with Quaker Protein Instant Oatmeal. The instant oatmeal ready to help you tackle whatever your day brings. Like wrangling your toddler into their car seat. That was fun. Coaching your 6th graders soccer team. Go girls! And carrying all the groceries in one trip. Whew. Try Quaker Protein Instant Oatmeal, granola, and bars. Great taste and a good source of protein. Quaker. Bring out the good.
Tomorrow morning is knocking. Stock your fridge now. How about a creamy mocha frappuccino drink? Or a sweet vanilla? Smooth caramel, maybe? Or a white chocolate mocha? Whichever you choose, delicious coffee awaits. Find Starbucks Frappuccino drinks wherever you buy your groceries.
This episode is brought to you by Beneful. Mornings are when the grind starts. Stretches, immaculate. Cardio, crushed it. Territory, marked. Sorry, geraniums. The dog routine is on point, but it can get a little wolf. That's why I fuel up with high-protein Beneful freshly prepared meals. I'm eating clean with real meat and veggies, served fresh from the pantry. Kick boring in the bowl with Beneful freshly prepared meals. Visit Purina.com/Beneful to shop now.
Zootopia 2 has come home to Disney+.
Let's go!
Get ready for a new case.
We're gonna crack this case and prove we're the greatest partners of all time!
New friends.
You are... Gary the Snake. And your last name? The Snake.
Dream Team. New habitats.
Zootopia has a secret reptile population.
You can watch the record-breaking phenomenon at home.
You're clearly working at
Zootopia 2, now available on Disney Plus, rated PG.
Okay, before we get into the Islanders' schedule, which is, of course, one game, a little bit about our schedule. We will have a brand new episode of Weird Islanders, the podcast, out on Friday. If you enjoyed our last episode of Weird Islanders, the podcast, with the great Ty Wishart, if you had not listened to that, please go listen to it this week. He tells some great stories about Trevor Gillies, and normally I wouldn't do this, but this next episode is all about Trevor Gillies, with a great guest who we're definitely going to have on again. He's a first-time guest. He was great. We'll have him on again at some point, but it is all about Trevor Gillies. So if you missed the Gill train, the one and only Trevor Gillies, one of the great mustaches in Islanders history as well, check out that episode on Friday. It's fantastic. I can't wait for people to hear it. It's going to be great. And that's it for us and that for us this week. We'll be back obviously next Sunday as well, talking about the exit interviews and all that kind of stuff, and whatever else comes out from this week. Okay. There's one more game to talk about from last week. Why don't we talk about that? Actually, we'll just talk about the Carolina game. So they are going to play Carolina on Tuesday. The game is meaningless for both clubs. I'm sure that half of that roster is going to be Chicago Wolves from the AHL. Maybe we'll see some Bridgeport Islanders getting a tune-up before their playoff series. You never know. And like I said before, I want to see Matthew Schaefer get that 24th goal to pass Brian Leach. You know what? I'm going to throw another guy in there. I want to see Anders Lee and Simon Holmstrom both get another goal, get a 20-goal season going. Barzell could also get to 20. They have 3 guys with 19 goals. So that'd be kind of cool to see some round numbers in there as well. But for me, it's all about Schaefer. I would just keep feeding him the puck until one of them goes in. That's it. That's the game plan. I'm sure Peter DeBoer will have some other plans, but I don't know. What do you want to see out of this Carolina game besides nobody getting hurt and Schaefer getting that goal?
Yeah, I mean that's really it. I mean it's. I want to say this. Like this is the Islanders are playing one meaningless game this season. This team deserves to play a lot more. Like this team should have been playing out the string because actually I had this quote sent to me from our friend Matt Strauss. You're not going to believe it. It's real, but there's nothing that these players like less than playing 6 weeks, 7 weeks of meaningless hockey. But the Leafs had to do that this year, and there is a quote today from William Nylander who said, quote, and I'm going to make you guess who the story is, and there's a hint in there. Let's see if you can pick up on the subtle hint of who is writing it. Quote, all these games are weird when you're out of the playoffs, said William Nylander, who pulled on a shirt for his post-game interview.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So, but that I think that this team, the way that they've played, deserved to be playing out the string a lot more than they have. They're only playing one, so they can win one for the GIP or whatever it is. I don't know what they're gonna do. I could care less about anything except for, as you said, Schaefer. I'm probably not gonna watch it. I barely had an eye on this game, and tonight I was like, what? Like this is making me sad. And I was off the top talking about the Islanders being a bad habit, and I don't want anything to do with these guys right now. Yeah. I don't want anything to. This is you always refer to this as our hobby, and the Islanders being our hobby, and I always like the way that's put because it is, and this is what we spend hours and hours of time on a year, like outside of family and work. The things that I devote most of my attention to is the New York Islanders. There's a part of me that's just like so excited that I don't have to do that on Tuesday night. That I can say, yeah, no, I'm not going to watch the game, right? Like I'm not. And I look forward to ignoring them on Tuesday night, and they have earned that, and they have earned a lot worse. They've like I said, they should be playing a lot more meaningless hockey than they are. They deserved that fate because of the way they played. Because they played this, honestly, it's kind of crystallized right now, which is the Islanders played the most important stretch of their season. They looked like a team that was playing out the string. They did. They were making the mistakes that those teams did. They were half the team would show up for one game, half wouldn't. They couldn't score when they needed to. They scored one goal. One goal in 2 must-win games.
Yeah.
2. That's
losing games to like the Blackhawks and
Yeah.
the who else? The Flyers, that Flyers game as well. Like just
Yeah, they looked disinterested, and now they've got to deal with whatever comes their way, and that starts on Tuesday night with a complete dead rubber game in front of a home crowd. I hope that home crowd is vicious with them and is booing them
Yeah.
every chance they get, except
Yeah.
for when Schaefer's on the ice, and
Yeah.
because that's what they deserve. And
Yeah.
it's so funny. You know what? Another thing I was thinking about too is that last year we talked about how this team like showed us who they were within like the first
the
2
Seattle
games of
game.
the season.
Yeah.
They played they
Utah, not Seattle, Utah.
Yeah, Utah,
Yeah.
and then they followed that up with a shutout against the Stars, in which they were
Yeah.
like, we played well, we just couldn't score,
Right.
and we're like, well, I think this team actually did the same thing, which was not what I thought was going to happen for most of the season. But they started the season 0-3, and they looked completely like lifeless coming out of the gates. Like they had the kind of messy back and forth game against the Penguins right away, which they
Right.
couldn't play defense, and Schaefer was amazing,
Yeah.
and then they had like a no-show
Game
against the Capitals
Caps.
in the
Yeah.
home opener. It was a complete no-show,
Right.
and then another one against the Jets in front of a
That's
matinee
right.
with
Yeah.
that was the game I went with Isla, her first game.
Right.
So tons of kids in the building,
Yeah.
and you had that was basically what they were. They were either very messy in their own zone. The three acts of the Islanders, right? They were messy defensively, lose to the Penguins. The no-show in an important game, home opener, like your juices should be flowing game. Come out like you have your hair on fire game. What did the Islanders do? The exact opposite. And then the game with a bunch of kids in the building, they play terrible, just like they did against the Senators. So they did show us exactly who they were in those first 3 games once again. And I don't want to have to watch that team ever again, and that's why I'm just gonna not watch. If Matt Schaefer breaks Brian Leach's record, I'll get the text and I'll watch it and I'll be like, that was nice, good for him, thank God for him. But and you know what, you said it too, like if you have anything else to say, but talking about like losing having consequences, and Schaefer is he's such a transcendent kind of individual and player, but like if all of a sudden his career starts with like 3 or 4 losing seasons in a row, his tune will change about, man, I love this place. Be like, no, I'm sick of losing.
Yeah. And listen, people are going to hear that and roll their eyes, but I thought about that too. Like they threw away a season, and I'm glad I meant to mention it before too, but like that whole like, oh, well, there were no expectations this year, so it's okay. No, it's not okay. It's not okay. That's okay when you're the Sharks, right? And they were kind of gunning for the playoffs and they kind of fell apart. That's okay for them. Like, these guys are old. They've been around a long time, and we are not in a rebuild scenario where they're like, it's going to take 10 years before we get good again. This team should have shot for the playoffs. I guarantee you they expected to make the playoffs. We might not have had, people might not have had expectations, but they expected to make the playoffs. They were given an absolute gift, 2, as a matter of fact, and a superhuman rookie kid and a superhuman goalie performance, and they threw them both away with, like you just said, the urgency, like zero urgency, zero jump, zero, games where they played like their hair was on fire because they needed to. You lose the first game of the season, on the road. Listen, that happens. That Penguins game was sort of like neither here nor there for me, but the game against the Caps and especially that game against the Jets, you're 100% right. That's exactly who they are. Just here we are at home. We got our home crowd behind us. We got a big game here. We got to show something, and they are just completely flatlined, just nothing. And then they turned it on eventually, but they have to do something. Like you can't keep putting it off and putting it off and putting it off. You got to do it now. And at some point, Matthew Schaefer might be like, I want to do something now. They can't afford another season like, well, maybe we'll be okay. And, but we brought back these guys, and this is, Kyle McLean just, let's celebrate his 250th game in the NHL because he's here again. Like, no, that's not going to work. Like, you got to accomplish something. If I'm Matt Barzal, like you just said, maybe he wants to go someplace because this is now he's going to be an Islander for 10 years and have made the, he made 2 trips to the conference final. And I'm sure he expected to go further than that again, and he just hasn't in 6 years since then.
Yeah, he said as much, right? You remember that?
Yeah, I mean,
after Game 7, when they lost, and he's just like,
yeah,
he said, I've got some time left, so like there's probably more chances for me, but guys like Green and Bailey, like this could be it for them. And so this is a guy who's like very aware of how this stuff works, and that's it could be anything. Like it could be it as this is what happens when you lose, right? It's just it becomes this is 2 seasons in a row that they've now missed the playoffs. I know Schaefer's only been here for 1, but when the losing continues, like the Islanders are now on the clock because you miss the playoffs 3 years in a row. Especially with this group and whatever the goalie they've got, it's becoming it starts to seep into the furniture, into the rug, into the locker, into the stalls. Jack Eichel went to Buffalo. Do you remember what Jack Eichel was like when he went to Buffalo? There was that famous video of him like chugging a beer. He's like, "Buffalo, I'm coming for you. We're gonna turn this thing around." And the Sabres fan base just rallied around him, and then they kept losing and losing and losing. And I know there was other situation that developed with the injury thing, but that was because they kept losing, and the two sides got frustrated. And I'm not meaning to sound any alarm bells about Schaefer or anything like that, but I'm just saying that this stuff, it seeps and it seeps. And when you're a team like the Islanders that doesn't have the like, I don't know, cultural kind of, I don't know, cultural weight behind them, like it becomes more difficult. And they're not building towards anything right now at all, like at all. Like they've got Schaefer, they've got a couple of the kids, but next year you look at the roster, it's like, where does any of them fit outside of Schaefer and Ritchie? Like, where do these guys kind of fit in? Like, they need to make room for them, and that's hard to do. And I don't know. I'm not trying to raise any alarm bells about.
We are a little spiraling here, I think.
yeah. But like, it's just like, why are we spiraling? Because this team just completely punted on this, right? And that's what a fan base is going to do. But I don't know. Like, it's just the last thing you said a couple of, I don't know, 30 minutes ago about how this team hasn't had like a game, a kick your feet up situation since 2019, and then going back to 2002 basically, right? And that's what this fan base is coming from, right? We're wearing that. Like, we're not wearing like we're the Tampa Bay Lightning, we missed the playoffs. We're not what the Penguins were, right? The Penguins won back-to-back Stanley Cups and then had like a dip, and now they're back. Like, there's no reason to panic because they had that to like rest their laurels on. We don't have that. We just don't. Like, the Islanders haven't won a division, like you said, since 1988. So we're going to spiral. We're going to be up, freaking out because of another season has just completely poof in front of us. And this time when it went poof, it was in our hands. Like, the Islanders were up 3-1 on the Penguins. In their own building on a power play, on their way to the playoffs, and that was like 16 days ago. And now we're freaking out about this kind of stuff. Me especially, right? It's crazy.
It is crazy. The Oilers haven't won their division in like 30 something years either, but they've also been to 3 Stanley Cup finals since then.
Right.
So like, they've got that going for them too. So to me, and I'll continue to spiral a little bit here because we were talking about this off the top beforehand, before we got on. My fear is that Schaefer also sort of takes on this attitude that the uncles have all had, which is like, it's fine. We'll get them next time. We just couldn't get the breaks this year. What can I tell you? We all tried real hard, and at the end, it just wasn't there for us. Like, I want somebody to put the boots to something, like to try. Like, I want this team to think like a winner. You know what I'm saying? Like, not a team that's, again, trying to make everybody happy or trying to. I think this team, the organization, again, getting back to ownership and all this stuff, I think, to me, what I'm getting from them is that they want to be good. They want to be good. They want to be in the playoffs. They want to be on the cover of different, the newspaper. They want to host all-star games. They want to be in commercials. They want to be good. do you get the sense that they want to be great? That they want to win a Stanley Cup or multiple cups or like do whatever it takes to get there? Because I'm not getting it. I'm getting they want to be good, which is fine. They want to be good. But like, I think it's time that somebody wants this team to be great. Great. Like Tampa Bay Lightning, great. Or like, again, Florida Panthers became great because they had a good team. They acquired Matthew Tkachuk and they became a great team, right? Like that kind of thing. Like the Penguins were great. Those years, those 2 back-to-back years under Mike Sullivan, they were great. I don't get the sense that these guys want to be great. I get the sense that they want to be good. And I hope that at least Matthew Schaefer is a guy who's like, no, I want to be great. I want this team to be great. I want it to be, the kind of team that other teams go, oh, we got to be like those guys. And then they invariably fail because that's not how it works, which is what's happening with the Panthers right now. Like, so that's just my theory is like, they want to be good, which is okay. But good is how you end up living on the edge and sometimes you don't make it all across the line like they did this year. So
yeah,
I want them to be great.
When you're saying that, it's like, it's hard for me to even like, conceptualize that because it's just never crossed my mind that the Islanders could do that. Right. Whenever you start to hear like people be like, well, the Maple Leafs aren't just looking to make the playoffs, right? They're not trying to just sneak in. They want to be a perennial cup contender. I'm always like, yeah, that's fine. That's for someone else. Cause like, that's not what's going to happen with the Islanders. I've always said the Islanders in my head, if they ever win a Stanley Cup in my lifetime, it's just going to happen because they get hot at the right time. Like they're, right. It's just going to be
on the run. Yeah.
They go on the run, right? They're never going to be the team. And part of this was, obviously growing up and they basically had to kidnap Ryan Smith to get like their first superstar in my lifetime on the island. Right. And so that I know that's changed now. And obviously Schaefer changes that in a huge way, but even with Schaefer, I can't even conceptualize what that would be like to be like, oh, the Islanders just rattled off their third 106 point plus season in a row. Right. Because the Islanders have never had, they've had what, 3 100-point seasons in my lifetime. And maybe that's more than, I think, 3. And that's, none of them were in a row. Right. So that's 3 and they're averaging 1 every 12 years in my life, basically. Right. So I don't know what that would feel like or look like, what it's like to like, think about the Carolina Hurricanes right now and despise them and I just can't stand the sight of their jerseys. Everything about that franchise is drives me up a wall. But they just come into the season and they're like, yeah, we're just going to at some point gonna go on like a 21-3 stretch and have 110 points. Yeah. And that's what our fan base.
With a rookie goalie, by the way.
Yeah, with a rookie goalie. And that's just what's gonna happen, right? And can you imagine that? Just like going into a season and feeling confident that your team is just gonna waltz its way to 112 points? No. Right. Because and to your point, like I don't know if the Islanders are striving to do that. It does feel like that they're just like, well, we just got to get to next season. We just got to get to we got to get to tomorrow, and you don't need to do that anymore. And I hope to God that at some point that ends, like that we're not that Matt Barzal quote we stop leaning on it as like an inside joke that the 82 game playoff because they clinched in game 68. That would be nice. That would be nice. But it feels so far. It feels so far from now. And what's so painful about that is 3 weeks ago, I was like, this team is going to get to 106 points. Like, this is amazing. This is that season.
They were going to get to 100 points. And if they missed the playoffs with 100 points, they would be like the first team to ever do that.
Yeah. They were playing for most of the season. They were playing at like a 99 to 103 point pace.
Right.
And that's what's so painful about is like think about next year. Like we're in like the middle of January of next season and the Islanders are in a similar spot where they're in the playoffs. Maybe they're 4 points, 6 points up on whoever. And we're just the whole time we're just gonna be like, we just got to remember what happened last year, Like that sucks that now this season is becoming a reference point for, well, we can't enjoy what's going on right now because we blew it last year.
Right.
Like this is the stuff that's rattling around in my head now because of this stretch of hockey. And it's whatever. If you want to say it's panicking or alarmist or whatever, I don't care. The show is called Islanders Anxiety. I'm going to stay up tonight and think about next season, and being like, well, I can't get too high ever. I can't enjoy it because they've shown me that they can completely blow it at a moment's notice. So thanks for that. You've already ruined next season for me.
Right. Dude, honest to God, outside of maybe I would say a dozen games, most of which like were won in overtime, I would say, I don't think I've enjoyed a game in the last 5 years. Like, I'm not even kidding.
I know.
That the last Trotz year, because that was such a disaster, obviously. Then they fired him. They brought in Lambert. That was incredibly unfun. They brought in Waugh. It was exciting for a while. You know, again, they made the playoffs that year. They got wiped out. And then this year, where I just was not on board with the coach at all, even firing him hasn't really brought me that much joy. Like, again, it's not, Peter DeBoer's barely here. Like, I'm not, going to put any of this on him or anything. This year, I mean, I'm not going to go back through the schedule, but I definitely enjoyed that comeback against the Leafs. We're going to talk about the other Leafs game in a minute. I enjoyed that. There was a couple of other, the game in Vegas that they won on the shorthanded overtime goal. That was fun. The game in Utah that they won in overtime. That was fun. There have been a few, but like, honestly, it's been a drudgery. It's been just not fun.
Those games were a long time ago too, right?
Yeah. They were early this season. Like, just
since the Olympic break, they came out, they won a couple games which they came back, were like, yeah, this is good, but you can't. This is not sustainable. Yeah, and that proved correct. But no, I'm with you. Like, there have been stretches of the season, like when they started the season 0-3, and like they kind of got their act together and looked like a force for like 4 games in a row, and they crushed.
Well, they had that road trip.
The road trip.
Right.
They crushed the Red Wings at one point. Right. They crushed the Red Wings twice at the end of that road trip, and then also like at the end of that little 4-game winning streak. There were times, and like that's once again this is where it's becoming so painful, is there were times where you looked the part, like there were.
Yeah.
And then you came out of the Olympic. They came out of the Olympic break and just.
Yeah.
They
were dead. They were dead. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I was wondering about the other teams. Like, obviously other places are scoreboard watching as well. Like, Blue Jackets fans are watching us, and Flyers fans, etc. And they must just be like, who are the Islanders playing? Oh, they're playing the Blackhawks. They can easily lose that game, Yeah. Whereas like I'm looking at the Blue Jackets or the Flyers and be like, well, there's no chance they can lose. But like they probably look at us as like, yeah, they're the team that's gonna choke it. And they probably had us targeted for months, being that's the spot we're gonna take. We're gonna not the Penguins. We're gonna take that Islander spot because they're a joke. Like we've watched them. They don't look good. They don't defend. They're just winning games in overtime. That's it. Like if there's no overtime, they're screwed. So I feel like a fool in that way too. But I mean, there's been a lot of there were little fits and starts, but most of them were a long time ago that were enjoyable. And the magic kind of ran out and went downhill very quickly. And they the Olympic break and then the trade deadline, I don't think I've really enjoyed anything. I mean, the wins since the trade deadline were you hold on to your scoring a goal in like the first minute against the Blue Jackets and Stars, and then hold on.
Yeah,
that wasn't enjoyable.
Yeah,
it was fine afterwards, but it wasn't enjoyable. Like we want to talk about the Leafs game. Wasn't enjoyable. It was like funny, but at the same time, like this is awkward.
It was
like
awkward.
Peter DeBoer's coaching.
Yeah,
like this is weird.
The games aren't enjoyable. At the end, it's more of a relief.
Yeah.
Like, oh, thank God. I don't have to worry about the next couple of days because they won. And like, there have been great performances. Again, Schaefer has been terrific, this year. And when he scores, you get very excited. Oh my God, what this kid's ceiling is going to be like. But I have barely enjoyed a minute of this team in 5 years. 5 years. And again, that includes our favorite Barry Trotz, because that last season of him was a disaster. But I enjoyed Zach Parisi being on the team. He was great.
Right.
So like there are things about these seasons I have enjoyed, but overall I haven't gotten that again, that 2019 season, man, was like that was a dream come true. Like it just was the best possible season I could have ever thought of. And then the other two seasons, the COVID, they had the weird long COVID breaks, and then they would turn it on in the playoffs. And so while the regular season was fraught and maybe not, sometimes it was there's a lot of worry and a lot of edge of your seat kind of stuff. Once they got to the playoffs, that was a lot of fun, because they were beating teams on their marching to inevitable showdown with the Lightning. But over the last 5 years, and that's why it's so funny when people are like, oh, the Todd Leiweke, the CEO of the Seattle Kraken, is saying, well, we're going to audit the whole team and change how we do things. Guys, you hired Lane Lambert as your coach. Your three coaches have been Dave Haxtell, Dan Bilesma, and Lane Lambert. What are you doing? Might as well put the department store mannequin behind the bench. Like what, have you tried that? Have you tried something other than picking, a guy who, getting a ticket that just says hockey coach number 1, please, and just taking him and putting him back behind the bench. Anyway, let's talk about that Leafs game really quickly, because you just mentioned it. We might as well try and finish with at least a little bit of fun. It was a 5-3 win. Obviously, again, none of this means anything except for the true haters like us. It was Peter DeBoer's first game with the Islanders, and they came out shooting the lights out. They ended up out shooting the Leafs 44-16 for the game. Shots were 24-3 in the first period. They were up 2-1 in that period. They should have been up 5-1, but Artur Akhtiamov was making his first start. This is in his second game, I guess. I could have swore he was going to shut them out, because that's the very Islanders thing to do. But they ended up winning. Schaefer had a beautiful goal from Tony DeAngelo, which tied Brian Leetch. That right there is your Vanda Pharmaceuticals shot of the week. Get you and your family vaccinated today. We do not have a Viam Cyborg of the week, probably for the best, because that joke really didn't go anywhere. So I guess we could retire the the Viam Cyborg, but we'll see if the Vanda Pharmaceuticals shot of the week comes back next year. Maybe it'll be another sponsor. We don't know. But you should look at your family vaccinated today. And Akhtiamov was doing the best he could. I'm like, this son of a bitch is going to steal this game out from the Islanders. Ilya Sorokin made 13, but he didn't, thankfully, because the Leafs eventually just caved in the second period and they stopped playing. Ilya Sorokin made 13 saves in that game, and he was very, very bad. Let's just be honest. He was bad in that game. He was bad in the Ottawa game. He was better today, that's for sure, but the dude is tired. At some point, hopefully they play a defensive system in front of him that limits the amount of high danger chances and limits the amount of shots he sees. And then he can, use that as a springboard to an even more elite season, because I think he likes seeing a lot of shots, but that's not a recipe for success. Like, the less shots he sees, the better. He's going to have to learn to keep his mind sharp and make those saves and be in position, because he shouldn't ideally be seeing 40 shots a game. That's my theory anyway. I'm not a goalie coach, but that's the way I would like to see things. That the Leafs game. So Cal Ritchie had a goal and an assist in that game. He was terrific. I hope he's becoming a Leafs killer. That's great. Maybe he is our Viam Cyborg. Sure. Who cares? That game was on ESPN, and I swear to you, it sounded like a Leafs broadcast. Those guys talked about the Leafs for 75% of the game, and they were losing the entire time. Yeah. They were getting outshot, but 5-1, and they're talking about, oh, what a great season Nick Robertson is having out there. Yeah, okay, great. That's just terrific. So it was an impossible listen. It was absolutely terrible. I should have known better, but I didn't expect it to be that bad. And once again, the Islanders got scoreboard help in that game, because Philly and Columbus lost, and you thought, okay, this is it. You got your win. Good for you. You got some scoreboard help. That's great. Now make it count this weekend. And as we've been saying for the last hour and 35 minutes, they did not. And here we are. And as a result, we can't even enjoy a win over the Leafs. Like, that's the worst crime of it all, man. Come on. We need this kind of stuff. Why can't we enjoy this? Because you threw it away. And now You guys and the Leafs can go golfing together. Now you're no better than they are. We've been making fun of them all year, and you guys are all in the same bucket, along with the Rangers and the Devils. This is the first year, by the way, that the Islanders, Rangers, and Devils are all missing the playoffs in the same year. Do you believe that? Crazy. The Red Wings. I would love to make fun of the Red Wings for the Yzer plan that has yielded bubkiss, but we can't because the Islanders are right behind them in the standings. Behind them in the standings, I may add. They each have 91 points, but I guess the Red Wings have some sort of tiebreaker. I guess whatever, but they threw it away. I mean, there's really no other way to put it. I guess I don't know. Anything to say about this Leafs game before we try to land this plane?
Yeah, that's. I mean, the big takeaway I had there is that, as you said, like that the season was alive,
right?
That night, like that was the night I was watching Jets and Blues because the Flyers lost to the Red Wings, and the Blue Jackets lost, and all of a sudden, and I spare a thought for the person who runs the Isles Magic Number account for all the hard work they've been doing this whole time. The Islanders' tragic number and the Islanders' magic number going into that game, I believe, was 12, and their tragic number was 6. And by the end of the play on that night, the magic number was 7, and the tragic number was 6, meaning that they just needed the Flyers to drop one more point, and if they could find a way to win out, the Islanders would get into the playoffs. And I remember, so like it was a tough weekend actually for my family. My parents had to put their dog down, our beloved dog Chili, this weekend, and and Thursday was like when they that they told us, and it was really tough. And just thinking about going into the game, so like obviously perspective kind of stuff, but I remember being like, well, at least I'll have like the Islanders kind of as a distraction a little bit to get my mind off of that. And they weren't, like they won the game, but like all I kept thinking about was I'm upset just generally, like it's a bad day, and like this team isn't bringing me any joy because they still have to go and win. And I like had to like work really hard in my own head to be like, you know what, they're going to win this game. They're getting the help on the scoreboard. I'm going to actively enjoy the season being still alive on Friday to get my mind off of what is going on with my for my parents and whatever. And I thought like I did a decent job of just soaking in that one last day of the season being alive. And it kind of catapulted me into Saturday thinking, this is like, there's no excuse for them not to win this game. Like the Senators, I know the Senators have been a good team in that, but they're at home and they came out. And as you said, they've got the new coach. Like they're supposed to have a new coach bump, but these hard and fast rules, they only apply to the Islanders when it's the negative, right? Like the first game back after a road trip or whatever. Right. They don't get the new coach bump kind of stuff. And they completely like flatlined and completely like just soured my mood for the rest of the weekend, basically, just because of what was going on. And that's when I started to come to think about how this team is a bad habit, because a hobby, a good habit, they're supposed to supplement your life. They're supposed to add joy and be there in tougher moments. It's supposed to be something that you can do to be constructive to get your mind off of things. And the Islanders have just been the exact opposite of that for like 2 or 3 weeks. Right. And that's what like my main takeaway from that Leafs game was that like I had to work really hard to kind of turn the Islanders into that. And I only got to do it for a very short window of time because they beat a really bad team. And the Leafs were embarrassing that night. They were terrible, just absolutely terrible. And I knew, I was like, I know this is fool's gold. Like, I know that the Islanders just beat up on a punching bag. And that the fact that Peter DeBoer is their coach right now really doesn't matter. As you said, the Islanders, they could have been like, look, we're going to hire Pete DeBoer. He's going to be here in October. But for this, Sparky's going to be behind the bench for these next 4 games. It wouldn't have mattered. Whoever was behind the bench, nothing was going to change with these guys. And like that's it. Like that's my main takeaway from that Leafs game was that like I I had to work hard to enjoy that game and to like make it a distraction. And that's not what this team is supposed to be. And it's that's what they've been doing. That's what they're doing to us right now. Like they are it's hard not to feel anything but like really bitter pain. Um and it sucks because it's something so trivial, right? It's just a hockey team, but as we said, we were talking about earlier, like the Islanders are just they're just different to us, to like the fan base. They are. They're something that's like a part of us. It's in us. And when that lets you down in the way it does, despite the fact that they do it all the time, they basically let us down for our entire lives.
Right.
It it really sucks. And so that's what it is right now. Like I hate when seasons end. Like I hate it.
Yeah.
And today sucks. Like this was a tough weekend, and it was made tougher by the Islanders, which really it's really disappointing. And I now I like people are already talking about, oh, what are they going to do next year? I'm like, I don't want to talk about that. I wanted to talk about how we're going to beat the Penguins in the first round again. And we can't even daydream about that. We don't get to be part of the fun that's coming up. Like it's going to be 6 months until the Islanders play again, another important game. So that all sucks.
Yeah. I wanted to talk about Sorokin winning the Vezina. They made the playoffs. Is it going to be him or Vasilevsky? Vasilevsky has the record, but Sorokin has the numbers. Nope. Not happening.
Yeah.
And it's their fault.
Right.
It's nobody else's fault. And so I don't know. Well, I can tell you all we'll be back next week to hash out whatever exit interviews are this week and any other news that comes out. Weird Islanders, the podcast, obviously on Friday. It's a great episode. Check it out. Become a member at patreon.com/Islanders Anxiety for ad-free episodes, bonus posts, written posts, chats, the whole thing. Our theme song is Morning Haze by Family Dinner. Listen to more of their music on Spotify. Read Lighthouse Hockey every single day, even during the summertime. Islanders Anxiety podcasts are part of the Fans First Sports Network. Great work by everybody, of course, at Lighthouse Hockey all year long. Dom and Jenny, everybody does a great job. It's, you got to check it out every single day. Shop VintageIceHockey.com. Try wines from the Pinot Project. Normally, I would ask you for your final thoughts, but you just gave them very, very well, I might add. But I will ask you this. How likely are you to watch the NHL playoffs this year, given how the season ended for the Islanders? Because I'll be honest with you, I am probably 50-50. And if I do watch something, it'll either be the Western Conference or Buffalo, because I want to see that market in the playoffs once again. But I really have no appetite to watch Penguins, Flyers, Lightning, whoever, Hurricanes, anybody. Like I can't do it. And I, honestly, even at that point, I don't think I'm going to rush home to watch any playoff games, which probably are going to start this weekend. So what about you? Are you going to be ready? Are you now that would you watch a Western Conference game? You watched one for scoreboard watching purposes. Are you going to watch one just for fun for the playoffs?
Maybe by accident. Like I'm definitely not looking. I'm not like, oh, I'm looking forward to like watching these games and just like zoning out and not thinking about the Islanders. But I think the only time I'm maybe tune in is to watch like a Penguins elimination game or Hurricanes elimination game. But even that, like I just, yeah, I mean, I don't have the stomach for it. Like I truly, I wish I could just wake up tomorrow and be like, you've just put in 36 years of, or whatever, being an Islander fan. Yeah. You can just stop, like, cause this season looked so promising and just got completely derailed, and it sucks. And so I kind of hope that I grow, I wake up like that, but I know it's not going to happen. And that's that I guess kind of is the same with the playoffs, which is like I kind of just hope I can unplug from it all, unplug from the NHL totally. But it's just not. We'll be talking about the Islanders all summer, here and there and doing that, and that's because they're a terrible, despicable habit and one we can't quit. And it just sucks.
It does suck. I wish I could just wake up and just somebody will tell me who won the cup, and it's the draft. Like, that's just the way I wish it was. Because I don't want to have to go through
like these
2.5 months of this now. Yeah.
This next couple of weeks are just going to be so like the litigating and.
Should this goal have counted? But I just want to fast forward to the last weekend of June. The Avalanche won the cup. Great. Like, who what pick do the Islanders have? And let's just move on and see what they can make of it, because it's going to be a big summer. And if it's not, get ready for year 6 of the 21, 22, 23, 24, 24, 25, 25, 26, 26, 27 Islanders.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Can't wait. Okay. We thank you for listening. It's been a lot. We hope we've helped you. Maybe we've made you mad. I don't know. But either way, we'll be back on Sunday with our next episode and, going forward, and we'll have more on the schedule in upcoming weeks. Okay. Thanks a lot. Talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.